Hello everypony, I am Critical Thought and welcome to my review of Flight to the Finish. This episode marks the debut of a brand new writer for MLP-FIM, Ed Valentine. Before his contributions to this show, he was probably most well known for being one of the newer writers on Nickelodeon's The Fairly Odd Parents, where he contributed a whopping 9 episodes. How coincidental that he now finds himself writing for another show where Tara Strong voices the lead character. However, he's got a pretty big mountain to climb to please me here, because this isn't just any episode, it's a Scootaloo episode. Our last foray into the untapped potential of Scootaloo came in Season 3's Sleepless and Ponyville, which was just mediocre in my eyes. Can Mr. Valentine eclipse Mr. Powell's previous Scoots episode, or will my favorite pony suffer at the hands of yet another new writer? Let's find out. This episode starts in the Ponyville schoolhouse as Cheerilee welcomes 2 special guests to give the class a surprise announcement. The Equestria Games Inspector, Miss Harshwinny, who we previously met in Season 3's Games Ponies Play, and Rainbow Dash. They say that the foals will have a chance to win a trip to the games by coming up with a routine, but what surprised me upon doing this review is that they don't actually mention what the routine is or what it's for before the main theme kicks in. I always thought they did, but apparently I'm wrong about that. Most episodes do a pretty good job setting up the plot within the first 60 seconds, but for some reason they only half explain it here. It's really weird in hindsight.
Maybe it's me!
Yes, of course it's you, nameless background pony we've never seen before and who we'll never see again. Of course the plot of this episode will focus on you. That makes sense. They could have at least swapped in Pipsqueak for this line or something. Or even better, just leave it at Diamond Tiara, the CMC, and Snip/Snails. Don't throw in a 4th pony into the mix just because you can. Theme. Immediately followed with the line from Rainbow Dash that should have been included before the theme, explaining that the prize is actually a chance to carry the flag for Ponyville at the Equestria Games. Maybe if they just featured those 3 groups of characters we knew instead of giving background pony number 87 a speaking line, they could have squeezed it in. Dashie says that she will be coaching the foals with their routines, having landed the job from Miss Harshwinny, since she had previously carried the flag for Cloudsdale when she was a little filly. However, the grumpy Miss Harshwinny isn't a fan of Dashie's outbursts of excitement, and she threatens to fire her if she can't keep her emotions in check. I like how this simple little plot point is the root of all the issues both the CMC and Dashie face in this episode. As you'll soon see, it creates a cascade of conflict that carries the episode all the way to the climax. After Miss Harshwinny further explains that the performance must be themed around what your hometown means to you, class is dismissed and the CMC begin discussing what they want to do for their routine. Scootaloo stops for a moment to look at her friends and realizes what makes Ponyville so special. It's a melting pot of all 3 races of ponies, Earth, Unicorn, and Pegasus. The 3 fillies decide to base their routine around that concept. To get her friends pumped up to create a winning routine, she kicks off a brand new song by Daniel Ingram entitled Hearts as Strong as Horses. I mean, the concept doesn't really make sense since, duh, of course you have hearts as strong as horses. You are horses. But that's just me being nitpicky. I actually love this song. It's one of the best of Season 4, perhaps even in the entirety of the series. The heavy marching band percussion pumps you up just as your local high school's band would before a big home game with your fiercest rival. The lyrics are incredibly inspirational, and the visual of the CMC shadows combining to form that of a strong stallion is just perfect. No complaints from me here, this is just a fantastic song.
When we put our minds together, we can achieve. We're the cutie mark crusaders, and you should believe we've got determination to represent the nation for the win. We've got hearts as strong as horses. We've got hearts as strong as horses. We've got hearts as strong as horses. And we're playing to win as we gallop to glory. We can conquer any challenge we're in. We've got hearts, hearts strong as horses. Hearts strong as horses.
However, Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon show up to harass the Crusaders as usual, teasing them for their blank flanks and saying such ponies representing Ponyville would be disgraceful. Maybe it's due to that epic inspirational song the CMC just sang, but for the first time, they aren't having any of Diamond Tiara's crap. They throw her insults back in her face, saying that being blank flanks has no bearing on their routine, which is pretty true. It's not like the ponies attending the Equestria Games are going to think Ponyville is just inhabited by blank flanks or anything. The background ponies in this show may be pretty stupid sometimes, but they aren't that stupid. After seeing the CMC put up with Diamond's harassment for so many years, it was truly amazing to see them finally confront their bullies and give them a piece of their mind. The CMC then run through their performance for Rainbow Dash, with Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon snooping behind a bush. With amazing props, choreography, and even pyrotechnics, the CMC seriously impressed Rainbow with their routine, but Dashie remembers the threat she received from Miss Harshwinny earlier, and she tempers her emotions. So much so that the CMC thinks she actually didn't like it at all. Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon are also thoroughly impressed, and now feeling threatened that the CMC could actually win. Knowing the CMC won't be offended by their usual blank flank comments, they decide they need a new angle of attack.
Isn't it obvious? It is to us. In fact, it's obvious to every pony. You're showing all 3 types of Ponyville ponies, yet you have a Pegasus pony who can't even fly!
How dare you, you loathsome bitch! This is beyond playground insult and gone straight into voluntary manslaughter attempt. Mocking someone for their physical disability, especially one they're already self-conscious about, is absolutely deplorable.
Inner fanboy?
You perfect little princesses can't possibly fathom what it feels like to be held back from your hopes and dreams by your own body. To question why you've been dealt such a bad hand. Does God hate you? Does he want you to fail?
Inner fanboy.
To envy other people for the simple things they take for granted? To see them completely fail to acknowledge their privilege? To know you'll never have what they have because the force is out of your control? Of course you don't! You pathetic, despicable waste of space!
Inner fanboy! Cool it! I know this scene gets you heated. Hell, it was this scene that created you in the first place back when this episode first aired. It was at this moment that I became the Scootaloo fan I am today, and when she became my favorite character in the show.
Sorry, I just... If you want to know why this scene gets me so upset, and why I'm now such a huge Scootaloo supporter, you can click on the iCard on screen now to watch my Inside Critical's cranium I did with my conscious self about the topic. Sorry for derailing the review, CT.
No, you don't have to apologize. I understand how much this episode means to you. That's why I didn't try to stop you from barging in to voice your thoughts. But let's continue the review now, yeah?
Yeah, let's keep this going.
Scootaloo is so hurt by Diamond's insults that she decides the routine needs to be reworked to include a part where she can fly. But Sweetie and Apple Bloom are doubtful that is even possible, especially so soon. They aren't mean about it, just trying to be realistic, but Scoots is determined to fly anyway to prove Diamond and Silver wrong. This is why this scene stands out as a core moment from the entire season. Despite that vicious onslaught from Diamond and Silver that very obviously left some emotional scars on Scootaloo, she immediately bounces back with determination and heart to rise above her bullies. This is a maturity even I as an adult do not possess, and is Scootaloo's shining moment in her entire character arc. I love it so much. The CMCs stay up all night practicing and trying to get Scoots to fly, but to no avail. And their sleep deprivation shows the next day as they botch their routine for their final run-through in front of Dashie. Scoots is able to hover for a moment, but can't maintain her flight like she wanted to, and collapses. Dashie tries suggesting the CMC revert to their original routine, but Scootaloo doesn't care and is still determined to fly. The lack of sleep that AB and Sweetie are suffering from causes them to snap at Scoots, saying they feel like the routine is all about her flying now and that they don't even matter anymore, leaving her side to get some sleep. Scoots pulls yet another sleepless night, still determined to fly, feeling like if she just keeps pushing herself harder, she will eventually do it. Seeing her go through this is really sad and tragic, because we know that she never can. Early that next morning, Scoots finally accepts her fate that she will just never be able to fly. Later that morning, when Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle are getting ready to board the Friendship Express for the Crystal Empire to perform their routine, Scoots is nowhere to be found at first, until she soon appears on the platform and says that she is quitting the performance and won't be going with them. Sweetie tries to talk her out of it, but Apple Bloom is mad at Scoots for choosing to quit and abandons her at the station, with Sweetie following behind. On the train, Dashie finally expresses how she truly felt about the routine, but Sweetie and Apple Bloom tell her it's too late and that Scoots won't be joining them. This shocks Rainbow, and she forces the train to stop and rushes back to Scootaloo's house with the rest of the CMC. Rainbow barges into Scootaloo's room and gives her a heartfelt speech that also serves as a sort of pseudo-moral for this episode.
But Rainbow Dash, what if my wings never grow? What if I never fly?
Listen, Scootaloo, maybe you'll fly someday, or maybe you won't. You're all kinds of awesome anyway.
You're damn right, Rainbow. Scootaloo will always be best pony, no matter if she flies or not.
Hell yeah, bro. Scootaloo forever. After a quick reprise of Hearts as Strong as Horses, Scoots vows to go to the Empire with her friends and perform the routine the way it originally was, which she does to rapturous applause by the Crystal Ponies, and we close out this episode with the CMC receiving the honor of carrying the Ponyville flag at the Equestria Games, much to the annoyance of Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon. So, what did I think of Flight to the Finish? I loved this episode. Plot-wise, it's not the best, and if you aren't already invested in the CMC, I can see how boring this episode could potentially be, but I do love the CMC, and forge an even stronger bond with Scootaloo thanks to this episode. That second and third act is one of the most intense emotional roller coasters I have ever experienced in this show, and while the first act isn't as good, it still has that amazing song to help prop it up. This is hands down one of my favorite episodes from Season 4, and one of my favorite episodes of all time. But since it's not an absolute masterpiece, I'm just giving it a rewatch it rating. But don't view that as a negative. You certainly can't go wrong with this episode. It may not be the best, but it's certainly a classic. As always, I am Critical Thought, and I will see you all in my next video. Never stop thinking critically.